Welcome to the bold analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, why do you think the people and the state officials that attended the State House meeting have finally decided to spill the beans on what transpired between Martha Koome and William Samoei Arap Ruto? That question is critically important because I have read the expose from Right Honorable Raila Odinga on what exactly transpired. And I want you to start here. If you look at this video, there is something that happened in State House. You can see William Ruto and Martha Koome came from some chamber, just the two of them, tagging along their two spokespersons and the registrar of Judiciary, and then they joined the rest in this other room. Those who were there was amongst them the Attorney General, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Chairperson of Council of Governors, Anne Waiguru, the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, amongst others. And I have always said that for the 4 hours that Martha Koome was in State House, the meeting that is really publicized in this video, that was not the meeting. The real meeting happened between William Ruto and Martha Koome. And the details of that meeting were not made in public. We were told what we wanted to hear. And today we were asking that William Ruto and Martha Koome needed to come clear and tell us something. When they came out, they actually told us that they had been given additional funding. In the light of what was going on, Judiciary had been given additional funding and there was some car grants for the lawyers. And we then, experts, and we then asked question, how was this going to respond? Were those goodies given to Martha Koome responsive to what William Ruto was talking about in the campaign rallies, that some judicial officers are colluding with politicians to derail government? And so we arrived at that decision. Today, Raila Odinga is actually uncovering the blow on what exactly happened there.
At the meeting, the Chief Justice and Mr. Ruto reached an agreement that will supposedly allow Mr. Ruto to provide additional funding to the judiciary. In return for this additional funding, Justice Koome is to advertise vacancies for 5 additional High Court judges and 11 Court of Appeal judges. This is in addition to the 20 High Court judges advertised last year. As a matter of fact, the advertisement of the 11 judges has just been done today. It is in today's Gazette. In that agreement, the 5 High Court judges and 2 Court of Appeal judges will be for Mr. Ruto to forward to the JSC. And he floated the names. Immediate former IBC chairman, Mr. Chebukati, and former IBC chairman, Ahmed Isaac Hassan, are to be appointed as Court of Appeal judges, with Chebukati later being elevated as the Chief Justice before the 2027 general elections. The targeting of the High Court and the Court of Appeal by Ruto is intentional. The administration believes it has completely captured the Supreme Court and now wants to target the problematic lower courts by staffing them with loyalists with the cooperation of the Chief Justice. After filling the executive with people of questionable integrity and capacity, and who will remain eternally grateful to him, Mr. Ruto is looking to set up a user-friendly judiciary full of people with questionable pasts and limited capacity. And unfortunately, the Chief Justice is gladly smiling along and playing the ball. Officially, Mr. Ruto is supposed to have agreed to give additional funding to the judiciary. That is a cover-up. The judiciary does not draw any funding from the executive or state house. Article 173 of the Constitution of Kenya established the Judiciary Fund, which is administered by the Chief Justice, Registrar of the Judiciary. Which is administered by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. The provision of the Judiciary Fund as contained in Article 173 states as follows. 1. There is established a fund to be known as the Judiciary Fund, which shall be administered by the Chief Registrar of the Judiciary. 2. The fund shall be used for administrative expenses of the judiciary and such other purposes as may be necessary for the discharge of the functions of the judiciary. 3. Each financial year, the Chief Registrar shall prepare estimates of expenditure for the following year and submit them to the National Assembly for approval. 4. Upon approval by the National Assembly, the expenditure of the judiciary shall be a charge on the consolidated fund, and the fund shall be paid directly into the judiciary fund. 5. Parliament shall enact legislation to provide for the regulation of the fund. The presidency cannot allocate any money to the judiciary. Madam Koome knows this, and yet has willingly proceeded to associate herself with and endorse an illegality. Where Koome sought money from the State House and not from Parliament, only she can explain, but it spells doom. To the best of our knowledge, the judiciary has never said that it submitted budget estimates to Parliament and it was rejected. You have not seen any petition by the judiciary to Parliament over rejection of submitted budget estimates, if any.
Now, let me say this, and just in respect to this statement. You know, I raised some statement sometime here, and I said that the deal that will see judiciary hire more judges is not a decision that needs to come from State House. Now, that decision is very suspect. It's very suspect because under Article 173, there was a provision of Judiciary Fund, and I just want to read for you. There is established a fund known as the Judiciary Fund, which shall be administered by the Chief Justice of the Judiciary. The fund shall be used for administrative purposes and as may be necessary for discharge of functions of the judiciary. Now, the decision to hire judges must fall within the strategic plan of the Judicial Service Commission. The Judicial Service Commission is the engine behind the judiciary. In fact, the judiciary is not judges. The administrative wing of judiciary is the Judicial Service Commission. So, for a decision of hiring judges, it must fall within a strategic plan that in this financial year, we are going to hire X number of judges, we are going to build X number of courts, we are going to do this, we are going to digitize our programs, we are going to do this and that. Now, so what is supposed to happen is that Martha Koome should not get money from State House. The money they are supposed to use is the Judiciary Fund. And in any case, the Judiciary Fund is not enough. Then the place to go and put the claim is the Parliament. There is a committee known as Legal and Justice Affairs Committee, led by Muraguri, I think, if I'm not wrong. So they need to go there, then Parliament, they will present, and Parliament will do for them more appropriation. Whether it is going to be supplementary budget or he is going to wait the next financial budget. Now, Raila is raising this, and this is one of the things is in this deal. Remember, to date, the Judiciary has not presented any appropriation budget to the Legal and Justice Affairs Committee in Parliament, and it being rejected. So, Martha Koome must then come suspect, must then come clear and explain which is this money that William Ruto is giving the Judiciary. Because I understand well that, yes, that money will go through the process. It will either come through supplementary budget or appropriation. Remember, the Judiciary Fund is supposed to get money from the Consolidated Fund. But there is no money coming from State House. And indeed, it's true that money will come from the Consolidated Fund. However, under the guise that Ruto wants to give that money is just a plan to take some political credit in what otherwise is just an administrative role or something that is enshrined in the Constitution. And so, Martha Koome should not play to believe as if this is something that is coming to Kenyans as a favor. William Ruto is not doing any favor to Kenyans for that to happen. And so, I just want to make some few observations from that Raila statement. There's some few things that Raila is saying there. Number one, Raila is asking Martha Koome, come clean on the deal. Tell us what you guys discussed. We've been asking Kenyans, tell us. And anyone who thinks that what Raila is saying is wrong, the burden of proof is not with Raila Odinga. The burden of proof is with Martha Koome to explain. And explain, give us an answer. How do you come and say that you have arrived at a deal in State House to hire judges X or Y? Remember, that is the question. That is the first burden of proof. Someone must prove on that what exactly was discussed. Number two, is High Court going to hire Supreme Court, High Court judges? Yes. And are we going to hire Court of Appeal judges? Yes. So whether Chebukati and Isaac Hassan are not part of the deal, that will not take us long to confirm. That will just take us next week because the vacancies are going to advertise and the shortlisting is going on. Currently, as we talk, the shortlisting is going on. And that is why I want to say that sometimes it is politically convenient to say Raila is running propaganda, Raila is just saying this for the sake of it. And I want to say this. Raila raised the question on G2G. And we vilified him in public as a man who just want to malign the government, just want to run smear campaign on Kenya Kwanza. But what happened? It didn't take 2 months before the government came up and owned up that the deal is not a good deal. Now, number two, Raila was not in State House. William Ruto was in State House with Martha Koome and the rest. There is one fundamental question you need to ask. This meeting happened like 2 weeks ago. But why do you think it's just coming now? You need to put up that question. Why do you think it is just coming now? Who is feeding Raila Odinga? And that brings me to the gist of this analysis. Why that State House deal between Martha Koome and William Ruto is leaked? Why Raila why that document or why that deal has been leaked to the opposition. Remember, immediately Martha Koome came out of State House. The next meeting he had was with some association of judges, welfare of judges. And she discussed with them what they have said. Now, William Ruto, after that, just went to the political rally and continued vilifying the judiciary. Even as that was going on, a decision on housing levy was made. Members of the executive were not so happy with it. And the next day we saw some impeachment motion going on. So things don't just work in vacuum. And what I can tell Kenyans is it will be politically convenient to vilify the person of Raila. But if we are to be objective, we just need to ask those fundamental questions. And I want to say this. People, we were not in State House. The meeting was between Martha Koome and William Ruto. And Martha Koome handlers and Ruto's handlers. So, if it is leaked, it can only be leaked from those people. Raila cannot get this document in any other person apart from people that attended State House. So maybe William Ruto need to look left, right, and center. And if he finds someone who he believes, start asking, who do I trust, who should I not trust? Then if he's determined that is not from State House, then need to look at Martha Koome and find out what exactly, why exactly this is out. And I want to say it. Martha Koome could be the first axis. It could be that Martha Koome axis is exposing this Ruto deal, because that Ruto deal has come at a point, and despite of that State House deal, an impeachment motion was floated against Martha Koome yesterday. There was this impeachment motion that was floated against Martha Koome. Yes, this was floated. And people asking, what exactly is this guy about? I saw Dennis Itumbi running some tweets in the morning that it was Raila who sponsored that. And it's coming at a time the Judiciary is being vilified. And I remember JSC came out and responded immediately, saying that Chief Justice followed the law. It was they're blaming Chief Justice on appointing more members in a tax tribunal that happened last year in February. And people are asking, if the tribunal was formed last year in February, why did it take long for that petition to come if someone feels that a decision that maybe the law was broken? And Judiciary came out and responded that secretary to that tribunal that was making that number 22, that number was supposed to be 21. But at the end of the day, 21 and 22, and someone resigned. And after someone resigned, the number remained 21. So that is the first aspect. And it's a high possibility that this deal they might have agreed on it, but Martha Koome realized that at the end of the day, the guys are still playing politics with his name, and maybe there is a grand scheme to impeach her. That's number one. Number two, the Judicial Service Commission, and I'm still on Martha Koome axis. Why Martha Koome axis could be the team that are leaking this to Raila Odinga. And let me tell you, it's never impossible. Never say it's impossible. It's very possible. And someone should not lie to you that all those judges of High Court, Supreme Court, and Court of Appeal, all of them are supporting William Ruto. No. It's very possible for them to leak some of these details. It is likely possible that Judicial Service Commission is against the plan to insert the former IBC officials in the judiciary for some two reasons. I don't know how you will expect, and number one, the deficit of trust, or it will also just dirtify the image of the court as a depository of rejected or people that lack trust in public. Judiciary is struggling to build its trust from the people of Kenya. Then here's a case where a former IBC officials like Chebukati, a man who believed 6.9 people that voted for Raila Odinga believe he was unfair and he did some election malpractice, both in 2017 and 2022, is supposed to go to court. And the judicial officers are simply saying that, look here, as much as the deal is good, but not Chebukati, but not Isaka-san. I remember the way Isaka-san was hounded out of office in 2015. I covered that friendly operation. So the JSC might have called a meeting and realized, look here, we cannot afford, we don't want to go and insert IBC officials because their names are already datified. And I want to tell you, one of the achievements, one of the targeted goals of inserting former IBC officials in the judiciary is, number one, is just to datify it. I want you to imagine a case is supposed to be made, and the sitting judge is Chebukati. You know, it's awkward. It's awkward. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. So there's some people that will just enjoy their retirement. And indeed, this is exposed as an alarm. This is exposed as an alarm that let's tell Raila so that when the public knows, the public of course is going to protest. And when the public will know, then this might not happen. Because after it is done, what might be the thing? They might come out and say, now look at the way the public is reacting about it. Look at, you know, then at the end of the day it might be inserted. So that allegation by Raila is very serious. And I can say politically, you can stand a political ground and say, oh, Raila is playing propaganda. It's politically convenient to say that. But ile siku hiyo list itatoka na uone Chebukati na Isaka San there, that's when you remember, oh, Odinga said this. The number 3 reason why this is also, and I'm pursuing 3 reasons why this might have been leaked by Martha Koome access. The third one is, remember, this is some lower members of the judicial courts might have got wind of this within the judiciary corridors. They, you know, there is that mama whispers, Chebukati analetwa ataenda ile court, someone is going to be displaced, this and that. And so these members of judicial lower courts are already feeling some aggression, expressing some aggression, because what does it mean? That it will come at transferring others to far-end counties. Someone, I was listening to one lawyer, Ahmed Nasir, who was saying that one of the ways to punish judges who are not friendly to the state is to take them to the far-end counties. That is something that is normally done. So it could be that even some members of the lower courts that feel also disgruntled by this deal are simply saying, we don't want it. Now, I want to look at Ruto access. On William Ruto's side, it could still be leaked from State House. That's also a possibility. Because they are trying maybe to advise William Ruto that, Mr. President, this is wrong. This is not going to put us in a good space. This is wrong. And the president maybe has refused. And because they are not going to be party to it, they're already coming out to show that their dissatisfaction with it. Number 2, the other reason why Ruto camp might also link to this is there could be a case of the deal gone wrong. Maybe there are people that were promised that when Judiciary will try to influence in Judiciary so that upate kazi ya High Court ama Court of Appeal judge. That's a possibility. And the state might have made an about turn and some people feel betrayed. Yeah, this has to come from State House. My niece, my uncle. That is what happens by then in lobbying. A lobby for you become High Court judge, but now you realize you cannot get it because that position is being given to person X or Y. That's a possibility. Now, I want to explain. Now someone is asking, is there a possibility? Is it even possible law? Yes. Before you even become a High Court, before you even become the chairman of IBC, one of the qualifications is that you must be at the rank of a High Court judge for the Court of Appeal. Or, that's one qualification. Number 2, for you to be elevated to Supreme Court, you cannot be picked from an MG, MR, magistrate, resident magistrate, an RM. You can only come from High Court, but most probably from Court of Appeal. And someone said, how would they pick a Chief Justice before? I had just analyzed here in my previous video that in that Court of Appeal, there are 3 judges that may not be in that bench, possibly in law, before 2027. And that was Philomena Mwilu, 63 years. The retirement age is at 70, but after 65, you can leave, you can resign at will. If you feel you want to resign. From 65 to 70, you can resign at will. But at 70 is mandatory resignation. Now, Martha Koome is 65. Martha Koome is 63. Philomena Mwilu is 63. Martha Koome is 65. Anytime from now to 2027, if Martha Koome feels she wants to leave Judiciary, she can leave. No one will ask her any question. Ibrahim, there is that Ibrahim, Mohammed Ibrahim, that Somali accent judge. He's 68. So him in the next 2 years, he will not be a High Court judge. He will not be in the Supreme Court. He will have to be replaced because 70 years mandatory retirement at 2026, the next 2 years, he will have to leave Judiciary. So there is, you will have to leave Court of Appeal. So there is a possibility of a vacancy coming in the Court of Appeal. That is why I want to say Kenyans must look at this allegation with an objective eye. Don't look at it because Raila is saying it. Face the facts. And two facts, there is a fact very clear that judges that are to be appointed, that role, that decision cannot be made in State House. That decision can only be made in JSC. So by Chief Justice meeting the President and coming to tell Kenyans of a decision to hire more judges, it is very suspect. Number two, it is coming at a time when the executive has been blaming members of a lower court of sabotaging government. And I had said here, this might have been part of the plan to plant Ruto-friendly judges. People who follow the bold, clean your days will concur with me that I had said this in my previous video. Thank you.